Channel 405 in for Ayabonga, and today, Job Seekers Wednesday. We talk changing careers, what steps to take to increase your chances of success when changing careers. Are you ever too old to change careers? That's an important one, isn't it? And to help us answer some of these questions, I'm joined now by Khani Mhlongo, Think Career MD. Khani, it's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, the first question for me would be, in this current economic environment, right, where inflation is going high, cost of living is just way too high, food is costing more, transport is costing more, buying a house is costing more, unemployment is high, would you advise anyone to change careers?
Absolutely.
Really?
As long as you've done your homework in terms of the career choices that you would like to pursue. I think for me, to take a step back, the minute you're thinking of changing your career, that would be sparked by a whole lot of different things. So we've seen a lot of changes in terms of the future careers.
Yeah.
We no longer have the same of the same. So everyday jobs are evolving. So it's really an opportunity to transition into something that's more exciting, something that's going to be relevant come 2030, when jobs would have sort of become something that we don't even know today. But it's not an easy decision to make. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm now changing my career. You need to absolutely do your homework in terms of what are some of the real reasons I want to change career. Is it because I'm annoyed with my boss, or I don't like what I'm doing? So there must be some critical, deep thinking around the reason why you would want to change your career.
Is there ever a time in your career where it's not a good idea to change your career? One would say, maybe I've been with this company long enough, there were prospects of growth, I have climbed up, I'm probably at the level where I'm very close to partnership at this firm. Not a good idea for you to change jobs.
I would disagree with that.
Okay.
I think for me, it's really around finding the career that absolutely sparks joy. It's about finding what you love doing. I think gone are those days, and I will qualify this, gone are those days where you just want to find yourself in an 8-to-5 job which absolutely frustrates you and you're sick, and you really have to think twice before you wake up. However, if you haven't done your homework in terms of what are the new skills that you would require in this new career that you're looking for, you can't just make that decision. And also with a high rate of unemployment, if you haven't done, things like your career assessments, speaking to professional experts, people who are already in that particular role that you're thinking of pursuing, to just also get a feel. And also it's not good enough to just go onto the internet and just read up about the theoretical things that you would need to go through. I would advise that speak to someone who's in that job or career that it's actually not a job, it's a career. In that career which you would really want to be in. Spend a day, a week, more often we've got time, take annual leave. Spend a week and just volunteering, get to experience how that particular career will actually suit you. Yes. Because also an assessment alone is not good enough. You actually need to engage, network with people in that particular industry, understand the challenges, and also be prepared for having to take a step back. So yes, in my current role, I might be up for a senior role. But with me making a career change, it might mean I'm going to start as a finance clerk, right, from being a marketing director. Right. So,
in fact, Khani, somebody might wrap us around the knuckles right now and say, Thaba and Khani, a job and a career are two different things, right? Two different things. Okay, so a person who is actually pursuing a career, it's probably a slightly different way of thinking when you're looking at your career and its prospect and its trajectory. So it's not a case of just picking up the classifieds and saying, "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo." Yeah, that sounds like a good opportunity. Let's go for that.
Yeah. We can't do that. For me, I view it as a spiritual process. So it's about you being passionate about what you love doing. Being in a job, you might be in a job because you need to pay bills, you need to do the necessaries. That is a job. You need to survive. But being in a career, it's about pursuing what you absolutely passionate about, and that's your purpose, and that's your mission in life. and whatever comes your way, the knocks and whatever, you will pursue that. And you're preparing yourself emotionally, mentally to go through whatever criticism that might come with it, because you know that's you. You feel at home when you're in that career. Whereas in a job, you will continue to take on the punches for the sake of putting food on the table and so forth. So hence I'm saying it's a spiritual journey.
So advice from Think Careers MD Khani Mhlongo today is, if you still feel you're making a contribution, you are fulfilling purpose, you're still on your mission, you're okay, you can stay there. But once you feel, look, I am no longer where I'm happy, where I'm fulfilled, where I'm making a contribution, where I'm pursuing purpose, maybe it's time to have a rethink about the career that I'm in. Now, in terms of the places to start, where do you start?
Places to start, do your homework, ask yourself some challenging questions. Why do I want to make a career change? Secondly, go and experience this career choice that you would like to pursue. Understand your skill sets that you currently have. Can you repurpose them? Can you transfer some of the skills? Do you need to upskill yourself in some of the areas that might be required? And also, before you jump ship, you might need to do some of the studying on the side. Like, make it a side hustle of actually learning and investigating a lot deeper. Because you might find that 40% down the line, you realize that, oh, I thought this was my passion, my purpose. It's actually not. Yes. But then you have to start all over again. So a lot of the times, we will pursue different things until we find our niche, until we find that career that makes us feel, you know what, I can just do this with my eyes closed, and I just love it. And it's not an effort for me to do it. Even though it might be challenging, because we look for a challenge. So finding a career doesn't mean it's not going to be challenging, it's not going to be difficult, and so forth. It will be, but it is in a good way, as opposed to having to do it begrudgingly. I have to do it because if I don't do it, I'll get fired. So
somebody could have been looking at Parliament and saw the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services answering a question about how much is being spent at the state capture. I think it's like 356 million. But a huge chunk of that amount of money is going to lawyers. And somebody could be sitting right there and saying, hey man, television, I'm in the wrong career. Maybe, you know, the lawyers are making a killing. That's something that I should be considering. Would you advise, is that something that's advisable to go to careers that seemingly at this particular moment are getting a lot of attention and are making people a whole lot of money?
I would say it depends. Being a lawyer nowadays is not your traditional lawyer that you would have had. So I came across this lady the other day who was saying she's starting to be an advocate or a lawyer in you know, the drones. We now have drones and so forth. So she wants to be...
aviation space.
It's the aviation, but in the drone space, because we know that a lot of the transportation is going to be, or the means of transport will be drones, where we transport a whole lot of different things. And companies are sort of looking into that, especially maybe in retail. So it's about doing some homework, because there's different fields within being a lawyer. So you can be a lawyer in which specific area. So again, you would need to understand what area within law would absolutely interest you and what you would like to pursue, because it's quite broad.
Typically, what are you telling people to upskill themselves with in terms of the courses that they need to be looking at? Particularly now, we're talking fourth industrial revolution. So if you're working at, for example, state-owned entity like Eskom, there's this conversation around IPPs saying, well, these people have been working at Eskom, they've been mining coal all this time. You're now saying IPPs, where are they actually going to go? Because now they need to learn about solar panels and whatever else, and they're probably not engineers, they're not geared towards that type of work. I mean, what do you suggest to people now to say, okay, you want to change a career, these are the skills that you need to acquire for yourself?
Yeah. So we've seen the top 5 critical skills which will be required 2030, 2050. It includes your critical reasoning, your logical thinking, its leadership, as well as problem-solving skills. We need a lot of that, because the other technical skills, they become redundant very quickly. So a call center yesterday is no longer a call center tomorrow. So there will be different things that would be required. A tailor today is no longer a tailor of tomorrow, because now you are required to work a lot more maybe with computers. A lot of the work that used to be done manually is digitized. So we're driving a lot of problem-solving skills, critical thinking, because those skills you cannot buy from the shelf or replace them easily. They are a lot more transferable in a whole lot of different areas. And again, the digital skills, that is huge. In South Africa, we're having a challenge where access to digital skills programs is not easily accessible, purely because of the cost of data, airtime, and also people not knowing where and how to access it. Where else, if we could create access, people can actually become self-employed from where they're sitting, as opposed to having to submit a CV waiting for a job to come about. So for instance, there's things like social media influencers. Most of them, they didn't have to go to varsity to go and study for being a social media influencer. They've gone into the net, studied about social media and marketing and all these. Now you can learn online for free and build a career.
They get paid $2,000 just for a post.
Yeah, and just to sit there and give an input, they get paid. So for me, the future of work is around long life learning. And why I say this is because change is happening at a rapid speed. You just cannot keep up. But as long as you're focused on what is it that you want to become an expert in, because we can't all be generalists. We need people who are experts. When you come in, we know this is a person who knows about this particular field. Then you can become a lot more focused and not be worried about the noise that comes from, oh, there's so much change happening around me and there's a lot of different new careers coming on board. So lifelong learning, do your homework, find out what is it that you would like to do and pursue that. And sometimes it might be an unpopular decision. So you studied for 7 years to be a doctor, now all of a sudden you want to sit at home and work from your bedroom and make money for, sometimes it might be frowned upon, but if you are convinced about it, it's not going to deter you in terms of pursuing whatever it is that you need to do.
Listen, I've met some doctors who've decided to hang their stethoscope and go pick up a microphone and actually be singers. But that's a conversation for another day.
And they're amazing at doing that.
Right, indeed. It's Job Seekers Wednesday on Business Unusual.